Hi, I'm Karen. Many of you know me from viewing and sharing my posts on Facebook. Today we're going to do something new. Like most of my friends on Facebook, I enjoy a good bottle of wine with dinner. However, one of the things I've noticed is that after you turn off the food channel and head out to your local liquor store, you're totally on your own. There's no one to talk to because the staff are pretty much just shelf stockers. When you're shopping for wine, there are thousands of choices, most of which you've never heard of, and it's all very confusing. Well, over the course of this past year, I've acquired two new friends, Jerry and Eleni Sika, who own Crossroads Wine and Spirits and Crossroads Fine Foods. What I like about visiting with them is that when it comes to food, Jerry is not only a very good cook, but he also cuts straight to the point about food fraud and has a great understanding of the changes consumers need to make in order to eat well into the 21st century. It's not uncommon to see him whip out his smartphone, show you pictures from his own kitchen, and step by step walk you through recipes. When it comes to wine, Jerry will tell you that the big corporations that dominate the adult beverage industry use the same smoke and mirrors to keep consumers in the dark that the food industry does. So today we're going to start a series of interviews aimed at helping you become informed consumers. You may not know this, but there are better options that are affordable and infinitely more interesting if you will simply break out of your old habits and try something new. Since we're fast approaching Thanksgiving and everybody wants to know which bottle of wine will pair best with turkey, I think we'll start the interviews off on the subject of wine. Jerry, tell us a bit about your perceptions of how consumers formulate their purchasing decisions when it comes to wine.
Hey Karen, thanks for working with me on this project. I'm always happy to see how many friends interact with us on Facebook. Hopefully we can shed some light on the common mistakes consumers make when shopping for wine and help them open up to experimentation.
So in a nutshell, what's the number one mistake people make when they choose a bottle of wine?
Well, Karen, there are several bad shopping habits we see in our store. The first of which is that most folks tend to buy the same thing over and over again, as if it were a soft drink like Coca-Cola. You know, if all you do is eat and drink the same things every day, your sense of taste, generally speaking, is going to become numb. Second, the wine most consumers buy comes from huge producers who construct the wine pretty much the same way as Coca-Cola. The grapes they use are commodities, which come from many different places far removed from the estates that made these big brands famous. Believe me, the wine produced on the estates that gave the big manufacturers their credibility is still around, but it now costs a lot more than $10 a bottle. These manufacturers employ chemistry-class winemaking techniques complete with additives including sugar to make wine that tastes the same every year. That's not really winemaking. Winemaking is supposed to reflect the growing season and how the winemaker copes with the changes from vintage to vintage. I'm not saying that everyone should be drinking bottles of Herman Story's Nuts and Bolts, of which only a few hundred cases are made each year. However, consumers should get wise to the fact that they're total suckers for advertising. We suggest you push your senses and try new bottles of wine on a regular basis. We also believe it's a good idea to support the small and medium-sized producers that actually grow their own grapes and make wine on their estates.
Jerry, I'm guessing you're describing all the brands under $10 at retail. I mean, how far does this concept go of altering the winemaking process so that it tastes the same each year?
Actually, it's not just in this country, and it's not just the inexpensive brands. In France, champagne, like the basic non-vintage bottles of Moet and Veuve Clicquot at $40 to $60 a bottle, are produced in exactly the same style as I have described. And yes, they tend to taste the same year in and year out. One of my reps used to work for an online retailer in Napa Valley, and when I asked him how Silver Oak cabs commanded $70 to $100 price tags when the wine itself is only mediocre, his response was that when the owners would show up at their offices, they would literally apologize for the wine, stating, well, it's the best we can do. You know, we're making 1 million cases. So in reality, it's the nature of the beast. The people who spend the most money advertising more often than not are being less than candid because it's just easier for them to live off their reputations.
Well, that's a fascinating perspective, but how does the average consumer come up with a better game plan to shop and get more value out of their purchases?
Karen, people are their own worst enemies. They shop in stores that don't offer any tangible form of assistance. Most of the small stores simply don't have the wherewithal to help clients. The big store, well, they just want to herd you in and out. They could care less about helping you find a bottle that fits your taste or is a really good value. If you ask me what I think makes Crossroads different, well, we're a bottle shop, a true specialty store. We make a real effort to educate our clients and give them their money's worth. You know, the best reps and distributors in Colorado come to our store to work with me because they know I'm not stuck on labels or brand names. All of them will tell you the same thing. Our selection is different than every other store in the region, and there's not a bad bottle of wine in the shop. 80% of the wine comes from small to medium-sized producers that still make wine on their estates. You can drink around the world in Crossroads. It's a fantastic place to shop.
All right, Jerry, so what are your hot picks for the holidays? I suppose you have a plan for all traditional main courses. You know, roast turkey, prime rib, baked ham, or even a leg of lamb.
Karen, the number one main course for Thanksgiving will be turkey, whether it's roasted, smoked, or deep fried. Wine drinkers have lots of choices, but the most obvious is white. Chardonnay works well, and I've got an incredible deal on Cameron Hughes, Lot 220, a Carneros Chardonnay that drinks like it's $20 or $25 a bottle. It's going to be on sale for $6.99. It's a super deal. I also have Lioco, a Sonoma County Chard at $21 that is made just like French Chablis rather than California Chardonnay. It's a better reflection of the fruit flavors inherent in Chardonnay. This would be another great choice among many great bottles in the Chardonnay section.
Any other whites on the list?
The best pairing with turkey are wines that we refer to as off-dry. Things like Riesling, Gewürztraminer, and Torrontés. These wines are just slightly sweet, and that sweetness is a nice foil to the savory flavors of turkey. We carry the best Rieslings made in Colorado, along with a nice selection from Washington State and Germany, and I've got at least 3 different Torrontés. They're fantastic. They go great with turkey.
What about reds, Jerry? What types of red wine work with turkey?
More than you would think, Karen. For roast turkey, Pinot Noir and Garnacha from Spain are the top choices. A pleasant little bottle of Pinot Noir like Laissez-Fitch, Chime, or Masked Rider will come in at about $10. Pinots from $10 to $20? Well, I've practically sold my soul to the devil to make my customers happy this holiday season. I've got the Pinot Project at $13.99. It's made from Sonoma Coast juice, which you'd never see for less than $25. Then there's Primarius from Oregon at $15.99. It has a very pale color, which means that it's made from 100% Pinot Noir. It has very pretty fruit flavors with an underlying core of tannins that give it just the right amount of structure. It should be really good with all sorts of food. Then there are my favorites, the cult wines like Brian Loring, Patricia Green, King's Ransom, Motion, Owen Rowe, Kiefer Ranch, and several others that range from $25 to $75. These bottles come from specific vineyards that only yield tiny productions, some only a few hundred cases. The selection in the store has never been better, and the Pinot section, well, it's off the charts in every price range.
What about the Grenache or Garnacha you mentioned?
Funny you ask whenever the subject comes up in the store about pairing red wine with fish, chicken, turkey, or pork. I always mention Garnacha from Spain because I love the stuff. Inevitably, customers always ask what's it similar to, and my response is always the same. It's like Pinot Noir with mussels. I have 9 or 10 of them in the store that all rate 90 to 95 points, starting at around $10. You know, Garnacha's a hot property these days, and I always tell people there's more to life than Cabernet Merlot and Pinot Noir. When you're in the store, don't be bashful, ask for help. If you're picking wine because you like the labels, well, we can do a lot better than that.
Any other suggestions?
Last one, if you're smoking or deep frying your turkey, a big juicy Zinfandel will pair quite nicely.
Wow, Jerry, that was great. So what's going to be our next subject?
I think the next time we get together, we'll talk about fresh seafood. You know, I grew up as a kid in Florida fishing and crabbing with my little brother Vincent and our neighbors Bill and Tom. Then I spent a little time working on boats after college, so I know the score when it comes to fresh seafood. It's not easy bringing in fresh seafood to Colorado, but our weekend dine-in program at Crossroads Fine Foods treats our clients to the best seafood in the world. Get your questions ready. Not all seafood is equal, and I'm going to tell you the truth about seafood.
Well, thanks, Jerry. And to all of you who tuned in on Facebook, I hope you found this informative, and we'll be back to talk about seafood real soon. This is Karen Gookin, and don't forget to share this with your friends.